Who can make a better Danish Christmas dessert? Dad or a professional chef? In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this delicious Danish Christmas pudding. But that's not all. I've given the recipe to a professional chef and he's going to fix it too. You'll have the opportunity to compare how he fixes it as compared to how Dad fixes it, and then you can decide which way you think is best. Let me show you how to make Ris A Lamande. You can get this recipe in the description below. After you've watched the video, I recommend that you get the ingredients and watch it again. Only make it yourself along with the video next time. But you'll want to plan ahead because it takes about an hour or more to fix it, and it needs to cool before you eat it. We're going to start by boiling rice in milk in a saucepan. It's important that you use a thick bottom saucepan, the thickest bottom you have. Notice this one's not as thick as this one, so I'm going to use this one. It's okay if you don't have a really thick bottom saucepan, you can still do it. You're just going to have to stir it more consistently, maybe almost constantly, so that you don't burn the rice and milk on the bottom of the pan. The recipe calls for a quart of milk. I usually put in a little bit extra because I've had it where the rice isn't fully cooked by the time the moisture's run out. A half a teaspoon salt. This dessert is a Danish Christmas tradition. It's an almond rice pudding. I'm going to look up Google Translate and see how you say almond in Danish. Mandel, that's right. Why is it called Ris A Lamande then? That sounds French. I'm curious to find out what kind of tips we're going to get from Chef Jeffrey as he fixes this for his first time from the recipe that I sent him.
Hi everybody, this is Chef Jeffrey here. I like to make sure I have everything I'll need from start to finish. Once I have all the ingredients, I will then mise en place, where I will separate them out to the exact quantities. A quart of milk, a cup of long grain white rice, half cup of slivered almonds, and some vanilla, a cup of sugar, one single blanched almond, frozen strawberries. For this recipe, I'm going to use this stainless steel sauce pot. The bottom is pretty thin, so I will have to stir very frequently. So the 1 cup of milk, bring that up to a boil. A little bit of salt, frozen strawberries, add a little bit of water, and a little bit of sugar, and we'll start cooking that down over medium heat. Vanilla extract, the rice, keep the milk from scorching on the bottom.
Oh, it's boiling now. Okay, so I'm going to put this in. I'm going to start the timer for, I'm going to just go with 40 minutes. And turn the heat down. The anticipation is almost as fun as actually eating it. Not quite. Moisture lasting. I'm going to put the lid on. Turn it down a little bit more. And Felix has joined us. Hello, kitty. You probably want food, don't you? I've turned the heat way down to cook the rice. Otherwise, I'll boil the milk all off. Long time ago, 1984, I spent Christmas in Denmark, and that's where I learned about a lot of this stuff. And let me tell you, you Danes know how to celebrate Christmas. We're going to put blanched slivered almonds in the pudding. We're going to put a whole almond in. There's a prize for the person that gets the whole almond. When you're eating your almond rice pudding, there's strategies to it. If you feel the full almond in your mouth while you're taking a bite, then you tuck it in your cheek and just keep it tucked away in there while you finish eating. And the idea is everyone else finishes eating and no one knows who got the almond. There's a gift for whoever gets the whole almond in their bite. So you want to be the one that gets the whole almond, but you don't necessarily want to tell everyone else about it until everyone's eaten all the pudding. Remember to stir frequently because you don't want it to scald on the bottom of the pan. We can do a couple things while the rice is cooking. We're going to stage ingredients for the sauce. You can make the sauce out of raspberries or cherries, or we're going to use strawberries today. So I've got a package of frozen strawberries that's been sitting in the fridge so it's kind of thawed. Water and vanilla and sugar, and of course the almond extract. Just smelling it is wonderful. Okay, now you can start to see the rice thickening as it cooks, but we've still got another 22 minutes. If your strategy when you're eating rice pudding is not to be detected when you get the whole almond, then it's hard to be secretive if the almond is brown when it goes in the pudding. So we need to blanch these. I have to tell you, there have been times in the past that I've just taken a paring knife and tried to cut off the skin. Didn't work too well. So we're going to try blanching it like the recipe calls for. The way you blanch something is drop it in boiling water for about a minute, rinse it in cold water, and then the skin should come off. Here's a pop quiz for you. How do you say Christmas in Danish? Jul, like Yuletide carols, Jul. When I was in Denmark, I had a Danish friend. There was a guy walking along carrying a bicycle tire, and guess what the word for a tire is, or wheel, is Jul. It's the same word, but different meaning. He said, look, he's celebrating Christmas. You probably have to know the other language for that to be funny. See, han holder jul. Trust me, it was funny. By the way, learning another language is one of the actions on the Map to Manhood. If you haven't downloaded the Map to Manhood, then you can get that right here. It's a free guide that shows you some of the lessons that you probably missed out on because you were raised without your dad being there. You can also get the book on Amazon. This is looking done. I've got 8 minutes left on my timer, but I don't think I need it. So now I want to be careful because if there is any brown on the bottom, if I scrape that up, it will mix in with it. That's not burned, but I don't want to discolor it. So go ahead and turn the stove off. Once the rice is cooked, we add the sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm using 2 1/2 teaspoons so I don't dirty an extra dish, and a 1/2 teaspoon of the almond extract. Oh, it smells so good. I'm going to be a little generous. Oh, that's probably too generous. Oh well. With the sugar, vanilla, and almond mixed in there, we're going to transfer this to the bowl that we'll stick in the fridge to cool in. Be careful not to scrape any brown off the bottom of the pan. You can see there's some brown over here. That's not burned, but it'll discolor the pudding if I accidentally scrape that off. So I'm going lightly over that. We're going to stick this in the fridge to cool. While the pudding's in the fridge cooling, we can make the sauce. The recipe calls for a bag of frozen strawberries or berries, whatever you're going to use, thawed. We'll put all these frozen strawberries that have been thawed in the pan, a 1/3 cup of water, pre-measured, a 1/3 cup of sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla. Now we bring that to a boil. We're going to want some cornstarch and water to thicken that. Let's get this started boiling first. 1/4 cup of cornstarch dissolved in water. There are different things you can use to thicken sauces. Flour is one, cornstarch is one. Cornstarch leaves it clear, flour will leave a milky color to it. I am trying to clean up as I go. That's a great habit to be in when you're cooking. It's much less satisfying to be working in a kitchen and fill it up with dirty dishes and then have your food to eat while you're staring at a sink full of dirty dishes. So to the best of your ability, try to clean up as you go, but not at the cost of ruining your food. Get a little bit of water in our cornstarch and stir that up. We may not use all of this. It depends on how thick we want to get it, and I'll show you how we test that in a bit. I want to make sure there's no clumps, and it's dissolving. It feels like we're pretty much dissolved now. It's starting to simmer. Wish you could smell this. They're whole strawberries, so I'm using the potato masher. Turn the heat up just a little bit. Almost boiling now. You know this channel is geared for young men growing up without a dad. Well, why would an older teen or a 20-something young man want to know how to make a Danish rice pudding dessert? Well, that's easy. To impress the girls. Girls really like a guy that can cook. This is boiling now. Add cornstarch mixture to desired thickness. It should flow at room temperature. The problem is we don't have it at room temperature, so we can't see how it's going to flow. I've added 1/2 of the thickening. I'm stirring it around. I should have been stirring it a little bit more as I put it in because I think I've got some thickening clumps in here. When they hit the heat and they solidify, if you don't mix it in, you'll get clumps of just solid cornstarch. That'll probably be a Chef Jeffrey pro tip for you guys.
With the strawberry topping, when I thickened mine, I didn't use any cornstarch. I just let it naturally thicken, and it was almost a little too thick. So I actually added a little bit of water.
I can tell it's thicker now. Okay, that's thickening up. We got to keep in mind that when this gets down to room temperature, it's going to thicken even more. So I'm calling that good. I used about 2/3 of the mix that I put in there to thicken it. Just pull this out of the fridge, and we've got a couple more ingredients to mix in. 8-ounce container of whipped topping, if it's great value. Otherwise, it's known as Cool Whip. Neither of them are sponsors, by the way. So we're going to mix this in with our pudding. A 1/2 cup of the chopped blanched almonds and the whole blanched almond. Wonder how Chef Jeffrey's doing with his.
Now that the pudding has been cooked, I'm gonna add the 1 blanched almond, slivered almonds, and the Cool Whip, and we're just gonna mix that all together. Spoon some into my bowls. Give our sample a little try here. Very good.
We're gonna put some of the topping on. I like the topping a little bit warm. Let's see how it tastes. Probably still too warm. That's not a raving review of my own pudding. I wonder if Chef Jeffrey's turned out better than mine. This is a bit of a contest. I'm gonna mail to Chef Jeffrey so he can taste mine and see what he thinks. Okay guys, now you know how to make this delicious Danish Christmas pudding. Go make it and impress your girlfriend, or better yet, invite her over and you two can make it together. Now that you've got dessert in the bag, make sure you watch this video about how to make a delicious spaghetti dinner to really impress your date. Always remember, you can figure out how to succeed in life, even if your dad hasn't been there to show you how. And you do have a dad that loves you. And I'll see you on the spaghetti dinner video.
Just got back from the mailbox, found my letter from James here. Let's open her up and see what we got. That is delicious. And thank you everybody for letting me show you how to make Ris A Lamande in a commercial kitchen.